Good evening. I'm Lewis, and I'm actually a bit nervous. I've done this sort of thing before, but tonight I'm kind of worried because there's been something on my mind for a while, and it's been eating away at me, and I kind of have really felt a need to share it, to come out of the fume cupboard, so to speak. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a scientist, and I don't like science fiction. I know, I've said it on camera now, it must be official. It's just, I know some of you probably like this stuff, but I genuinely don't know whether Ewoks are in Star Trek or Battleship Galactica. I have no opinion about whether Jean-Luc Picard really is the best captain of the TARDIS. I have no idea how Doctor Who's ever going to get back to Krypton. You know, it just doesn't bother me. I know for some of you it's probably important. And while we're at it, I don't really fucking love science. I actually find PhD comics quite boring. And I'm not even really particularly enamoured with physics. You see, I think science often has this problem that people assume that if you're a scientist, you've got to be some kind of science geek. You've got to hero worship Richard Dawkins. You've got to have a weird crush on Brian Cox. You've got to want Peter Higgs to be your granddad. Actually, Peter Higgs probably would be quite a cool granddad, wouldn't he? Except he was on holiday when he got his Nobel Prize, so he'd never make any of your birthday parties, would he? I think it's just the fact that you know, scientists aren't the only people who are geeky. I mean, have you ever heard how geeky a historian can be about an ancient treaty? Or like how many stats cricket fans know about all their favourite players? And, God, you don't want to get my uncle started on tractors. And the thing is, I do fucking love my bit of science. I really love it. But I'm no more likely to love your bit of science than I am anything else. I mean, at the moment, my main interests are trying to find out a bit more about early British polyphonic choral music, working out why Mitchell Johnson can suddenly bowl properly, and why the hell they've decided to dig up every bloody road in St Andrews at the same time. So, you know, I kind of know that a lot of people talk about, oh, the scientific method, you're all united by the scientific method. But I study the behaviour of monkeys. That's got about as much in common with inorganic physics as I realised I had with my last girlfriend. So anyway, I kind of trashed everything and decided that you really shouldn't be interested in anything. But why should you be interested in my science? You should be interested in my science for one word: monkeys. Yeah. I'm interested in the behaviour of primates. I'm interested in why monkeys and apes and humans have this incredible behaviour pattern. How we've evolved. How these creatures with amazing brains, living in amazing social structures, can sometimes be so stupid. And there are some really big questions in my field. You know, the evolution of culture, for example. It's huge. Also, there are some kind of small questions as well. So things like capuchin monkeys. They're a small South American species. They're quite sort of brown and bland in some cases, but they're really lovely. And they've got this gesture called the eye flash. It goes like this. It's like being winked at by someone on Botox. And a friend of mine, we'll call her Bridget, because that's her name, she was looking through the scientific literature, and she realised that no one's ever really worked out why they do that. So she thought, well, I'll get a master's student to investigate. You can get a master's student to do anything. So she sent the master's student to the zoo, and the master's student sat and recorded when they eye flashed, and she recorded what time of day it was, and which individual it was, and who they eye flashed at, and whether there was any food around, and whether they were having sex, and whether they were fighting, and whether it was sunny, and whether there was food about, and whether there were other people having sex, other monkeys having sex. And they recorded absolutely everything that was going on. And they took it back to the university, and they plugged it all into a spreadsheet, and they did all the stats on it, and they worked out when capuchin monkeys eye flash. And they found that capuchin monkeys eye flash for everything. Like a shrug for a teenager, there is no social situation when it's not appropriate. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask you now to give a cheer in a second. Give a cheer for my mum, because it's her birthday today. So give a cheer. Hello, Mum! It's actually her 60th birthday, so like any good son, I am 300 miles away doing stand-up comedy. But I'm going down at the weekend, and my parents have got some friends around, and I kind of, I like a lot of their friends. They're lovely people, but sometimes, that sort of awkward small talk that you do at drinks parties when people start talking about your work. Oh, so Lewis, I hear you're a biologist, is that correct? Yes, Marjorie, no, I'm a researcher at St Andrews. Oh, so, are you seeking to solve world hunger? No, Marjorie, plants really aren't my thing. Oh, okay, are you curing cancer? No, Marjorie, pipetting very small amounts of fluid between two test tubes really is quite dull. Oh, so Lewis, what do you do with my taxpayers' money? Well, Marjorie, I use it to go to the zoo. Yeah, I need to finesse that a bit. But there are a couple of my parents' friends who they're very nice people and they're very polite, but I kind of know that they don't really buy into the whole evolution thing. They kind of believe that they were created. They like to believe in creation. They like to believe that this is the pinnacle of creation. I put my back out last week throwing a piece of paper in a bin. The apex. The perfection. Modelled after our creator himself, supposedly. I mean, really? Although I guess it does go some way to explain why God was so angry through the whole of the Old Testament. Chronic back pain could do that to you. I mean, last Friday, put my back out in the morning, in the evening, went to the loo. I went to sit down, and I thought, oh, I can't bend that far down. And if I can't bend that far down to sit, I definitely can't bend far enough to pick my trousers back up. And quite frankly, at that point, I'd have sent 10 plagues at anyone. Thank you very much.